Welcome back to another training video using the UK electrical simulator. In a previous video, we compared the 2-plate and 3-plate methods of wiring a lighting circuit. In this video, we are going to stay with both methods, but this time we will add two two-way switches, allowing the same lamp or group of lamps to be switched on and off from two different locations. A common example of this would be a two-way switch at the bottom of a staircase, and another two-way switch at the top, both controlling the same light fitting. On the left-hand side of the workspace, we have a C4 bus component, providing power from a 6-amp lighting circuit. Our aim here is to use the 3-plate method to wire the ceiling rows and the two two-way switches. On the right-hand side, we have a C5 bus component, also providing power from a 6-amp lighting circuit. Here, we will use the 2-plate method to wire 2 lamps and two two-way switches. Let's start with the 3-plate method. First, we connect the permanent line conductor from L4 on the bus to loop L1 on the ceiling rows. Then we connect N4 on the bus to N2 on the ceiling rows. And finally, we connect E4 to the earth terminal. That gives us our supply into the ceiling rows. Now let's wire the two two-way switches together. This part is straightforward, but it is important to notice that we are not using standard twin and earth cable between the two two-way switches. For this section, we need 3 line conductors plus a CPC. Because we are using 3 line conductors between the switches, the colours will be different from a standard twin and earth cable. The simulator will select the correct conductor colours as we make the connections, but we can confirm each one as we go. First, we connect the COM terminal on the first switch to the COM terminal on the second switch. In this example, the simulator adds a black conductor with brown sleeving, identifying it as a switch line conductor. Next, we connect L1 to L1 between the two switches. This is shown as a brown conductor, so no additional brown sleeving is needed. Then we connect L2 to L2. This is shown as a grey conductor with brown sleeving, again identifying it as a switch line conductor. Finally, we connect the earth terminals together using the usual green and yellow CPC conductor. We now have 2 parts of the circuit complete. We have the supply connected into the ceiling rows, and we have the two two-way switches linked together. The final step is to connect the switching arrangement back to the ceiling rows. First, we connect a permanent line conductor from loop L3 on the ceiling rows to L1 on the first two-way switch. Then we connect the switched line from SWL1 on the ceiling rows to L2 on the same two-way switch. Finally, we connect the CPC between the earth terminal on the ceiling rows and the switch earth terminal. The 3-plate two-way lighting circuit is now complete. We are now ready to energise the C4 bus and operate the switches. When the circuit is energised, we can see the lamp turn on. The simulator shows the current path flowing through the two two-way switches before returning to the lamp through the switched line. In this switch position, the route passes through the L1 terminals, through the linked COM terminals, and then back through L2 on the first switch, before feeding the lamp. If we now operate the second switch, the internal contact changes position. This breaks the current path, so the lamp turns off. When we operate the second switch again, the path changes back, allowing current to flow through the alternative route, and the lamp turns on again. This is the key principle of two-way switching. Either switch can change the state of the lamp. One switch position may complete the circuit, and the next operation may break it. By pressing either switch in turn, the current path changes accordingly. Next, we will move over to the right-hand side of the workspace and look at the same two-way switching principle, but this time using the 2-plate method. The wiring is very similar because the two two-way switches still work in the same way. We still need to link the COM, L1, L2 and earth terminals between the two switches. So, let's start by wiring the two switches together. First, connect the COM terminal on the first switch to the COM terminal on the second switch. Next, connect L1 to L1 between the two switches. Then connect L2 to L2. Finally, connect the earth terminals together. The switching arrangement is now complete. Now, because this is the 2-plate method, the supply and neutral connections are taken to the switch position rather than being looped through a ceiling rows. Connect L5 on the bus to L1 on the first switch. This provides the permanent line feed into the switching arrangement. Then double-click on the first switch to add a neutral connector inside the back box. Connect N5 on the bus to the new connector terminal. Next, connect E5 on the bus to the earth terminal on the first switch. We now have the supply, neutral, and CPC brought into the switch position, and the two-way switches are linked together. The final task is to connect the first switch to the two lamps, so both lamps are controlled together. Connect a switched line from L2 on the first switch to the SWL terminal on the first lamp. Then connect a neutral conductor from the backbox connector to the N terminal on the same lamp. Next, connect the CPC from the switch earth terminal to the lamp earth terminal. Now we can extend those same three conductors to the second lamp. Once the C5 bus is energized, either two-way switch can be operated to turn both lamps on or off. So the switching principle is the same in both circuits. The difference is where the supply and loop connections are made. In the three-plate method, those connections are made at the ceiling rows. In the two-plate method, they are made at the switch position, with the switched line, neutral and CPC, then taken out to the lamp fittings. I hope you enjoyed this slightly longer video, explaining how we wire two-way switches for both two-plate and three-plate lighting arrangements. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.